The United States is in the grip of a fresh economic crisis with virus-induced supply chain bottlenecks leading to empty shelves and soaring prices. It's causing American consumers and the Biden administration a world of pain. Worryingly, there are now signs that Australia could be next. Endeavour Drinks, which is the company behind Dan Murphy's and BWS, has sounded the alarm over its own supply chain disruptions as it has difficulty sourcing products, particularly liquor, from overseas suppliers. It's not just high-end whiskies and champagne and chardonnay and all of that in short supply ahead of Christmas. There's also deep-seated concerns amongst COVID-battered small business about their own supply constraints and concerns about cash flow, bringing in the goods. Fleur Brown is the Chief Industry Affairs Officer at the Australian Retailers Association. She joins me now. Fleur, thank you for your time. We're now all opening up and we're turning our mind to Christmas and wanting to get out and about. But I've read what's happening in the United States and this concern last night from Dan Murphy. How big is the problem at the moment for businesses here in Australia?
Look, it's definitely a problem and it's intensifying because of the Christmas demand. But of course, you've got suppressed spending, and that's what's been happening in the US as well. As you've got, a lot of pent-up demand for shopping, and you get into the Christmas period. It's the busiest time of year, so that all places a lot more strain on supply chain. But of course, this is no new issue. We've been dealing with supply chain challenges through the whole pandemic. Retailers, were anticipating a lot of this, and they've been working, many months in advance to try and work out some of those challenges well ahead of Christmas. So there's no question it's a lot of pressure for retailers, and customers do need to get in early to not be disappointed as they look towards their Christmas shopping.
How much is the issue? I've been told that getting things to Australia is a real issue, not just pent-up demand with the consumers when there's things on the shelf, but it's getting it here that's a problem as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got, the capping of incoming flights is one factor, putting pressure on shipping. There's escalation of container costs. And of course, for small retailers, as you mentioned, that's not something that is great to be passed on, because a lot of them are in a world of pain as it is. Some of those costs are up to 4 times the usual rate. Those concerns are real. What I would say on the positive is that they have been anticipated by a lot of retailers. Retailers are always really, kind of good on their feet. They're very agile, and they've learned to be even more so through the last 18 months or so. They've been planning for this. And so customers need to be patient. They need to get in early and shop early, look at online options as well. And, on balance, we should be looking, fairly good for Christmas.
Talk to me about small business. I've spoken to a number of clothing retailers. They haven't had much custom. They've been closed unless they're online, but they've been closed for, 4 or 5 months here in Victoria in particular, obviously closures in New South Wales as well. They've still got their winter stock sitting in their shores. They're going to open up basically end of October, November, and they haven't. Some have said to me they haven't had the cash flow because they haven't sold the winter stock to buy in the summer stock, and they're looking like they'll open the doors with the out-of-season fashion and not much cash flow to get back on their feet. How real is that?
Look, small business, fashion retailers, those we'd call discretionary retailers, have absolutely struggled and suffered. There's no question. And what we need to keep in mind is that for those retailers, a lot of them make up to 2/3 of their annual profits through this pre-Christmas trading period. So every day, every week that they can trade right from now, absolutely counts. We were calculating about $1 billion in retail trade at risk each week in Victoria, similar in Greater Sydney. So it's real. The struggle is real, as they say. It's concerning, and some of those, business supports really need to be in place ongoing, just to make sure that we don't lose those small businesses. I mean, some of those companies take many, many years to build. Their family businesses often. It would be a tragedy to lose them for a cash flow issue.
Look, I'm just about out of time, but just labour shortages too, Fleur.
Absolutely. Well, look, we're missing 700,000 people that normally are in Australia at this time. About 15% of them work in retail. It is a challenge. It's getting harder. It's something that it's definitely an area that retailers are also struggling with currently. But again, not new.
Not new, but we've got to get out there and support them. And obviously, do our best to get them back on their feet. Fleur Brown, Retailers Association, thank you for your time.